The question is, what are the books black men should be reading in order to start appreciating and respecting black women? This question comes as a request to bring balance to the last video I did concerning the books black women should be reading. And the books are exactly the same. The Willie Lynch Letter, Neely Fuller's Compensatory Code, Francis Cress Welsing ISIS Papers, Michael Bradley The Iceman Inheritance, plus a whole lot of other supplemental reading for men, starting with The Destruction of Black Civilization, Chancellor Williams. I would also venture into Introduction to African Civilization, John G. Jackson. I'd venture into Sheikh Anta Diop, Civilization or Barbarism. This book speaks of our customary family structures. The point is, none of these books are about romance or placating one another's emotions. These books identify how we lived prior to being invaded. These books identify how we thought prior to our thought processes being invaded by Western European philosophy. What's important about African philosophy is that there was no separation of importance between the male principle and the female principle. They were always necessary for each other to live in the full potential. In fact, without the female principle, the male couldn't be whole, and without the male principle, the female could not be whole. We were always working in conjunction with each other. Even when you read African mythology, the two principles are always working together. It's not until we get later on in time with new philosophies of how to relate to each other that Western European men decided that they wanted to write women out of history in a sense of controlling them, in a sense of making them into property. And this is where the imbalance began to happen. Once we began to respect Western European systems of thought and put away our own systems of thought, of course that imbalance would come into play into what we're seeing today as well. So none of this is about romance. This is about how we should be relating to each other from an African-centered worldview and not from a European worldview, which is destructive to our customs, which is destructive to our emotional health.